Hello?
All right, perfect.
All right.
Oh, put the
How's it
volume
going,
down.
Christian?
All right, good, good, good. How's it going? Sorry
Where's
about
the
that. We had to
hat?
do a little bit of a switch today because
Where's the
there's an
hat,
interview
man?
going on here. Gilberto's gonna jump on that. Uh, so we were like, okay. So, how do you want me to introduce you? Do you want me to just a similar format? Say, hey, here's Danny. You introduce yourself. I think that'll be easier.
Yep. Can
What
you
do you
hear me
think?
well? Can you hear me?
Oh, you can't hear me?
I can't hear you. Yeah.
Oh, sorry. Okay, I can hear you now.
Can you hear me?
Yep.
All right. Awesome. No. Yeah, just go ahead and introduce and then I'll get going. And at the end, we can have a Q&A.
Perfect. Perfect. And that makes it easier because I can mute it and then also I can kind of see if there's anything in the chat. But okay, perfect.
Right.
And then
So I'll follow your cue, Christian. Tell me when to go and stuff like that.
yeah, no worries. So I guess we'll start right on time. It's scheduled for 12, right?
Yeah.
Okay.
Where's the hat,
Uh
man? I was asking you about the hat.
which hat?
El sombrero, the black
Oh, I
sombrero.
know. Everybody's
The one that's making you famous.
I know it's the one of our board members was like I don't know if he was joking or not, but he said it in the whole meeting. He was like, "Hey man, I was at the coffee shop the other day and then I heard your voice in somebody's TikTok and I guess you came out on their feed." But I guess it's because I it's a Build Fort Worth one. So we've been pushing out a lot. So but
Oh,
yeah, they tease me about it all the time.
that's funny. No, but I mean, it's a nice hat.
Yeah. El
A nice
sombrerote.
sombrero. Yeah.
Yeah, but we're excited. Built for Worth. I think there might be a little bit of an adjustment on the date. We're still kind of pending, but I mean, tentative right now. Well, we have everything for June 24th in the marketing, but I think we're exploring an alternative date if possible. But yeah, June 24th is coming up quickly, so
Yeah.
it's right
Yeah.
around the corner.
Yeah. All right. Let me just, I think there's too much light. Just give me a sec. Let me fix this thing.
No worries. And then let me oh, jump on Gilberto's. Oh,
All right. I think this is a little better.
okay, perfect. And
Hey,
then
did I tell you guys that I kicked off my podcast?
no, I mean I didn't know unless you told me Gilberto.
Yeah.
How did that go?
It went well. I have like
Okay.
2 episodes, and I have like a couple of interviews that I've done already that I haven't published.
Nice.
So, yeah, we got to talk.
Yeah, yeah, for sure. Let's make it happen. What is the theme?
Small businesses, small and medium-sized businesses and leadership.
Okay.
It's around growth mostly. Um, but of course, it's more like I do it a little bit more. I go deeper. So I talk about the person and where you came from and what makes you tick and stuff like that, and then go into the business side of it.
Nice.
I just think it's a little bit more engaging that way. And of course, it helps you understand what the person has been through too, right? Because then it is not just like, hey, let's go get rich, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
There's a
And I
journey,
mean,
right?
I think a lot of people they often they look towards more relatable, tailored education. I mean, I think that's always
Yeah.
the best way you can appeal to that audience. Let me see. I'm gonna send a quick reminder. I think we got about 1 minute. Let me see if I can push a quick reminder to the registration list. Okay. And then I might have to do it with no worries. I could still do that as okay, sure. Invite. Okay, copy meeting link. We do email blast. Yeah, I think okay, we are live. Join.
How many people are we expecting, Christian? You know?
There were 17 registrations.
Okay.
I know typically with the push, it um, helps to get them back in.
Mhm.
Let me make sure. Okay, it is 12 on dot. Let's go ahead and start letting everybody in. All right, so far, and then here we go.
Good morning, everyone. Good morning, good morning, good morning. I just want to make sure everybody can hear me and see me. I see two Dannys. Two Dannys on the screen. Okay,
Yes.
perfect.
Sorry, I had a
We have two instructors.
Yeah.
Awesome. Well, thank you so much. Welcome, welcome, welcome. Good morning. We are once again doing another webinar here at the Fort Worth Hispanic Chamber of Commerce. This one specifically is around service-related businesses, professional businesses that offer a specific type of service. Gilberto was going to be the one who introduced today, but Gilberto is on a mission. I was working on a few things, so I was fortunate enough to step in. So I wanted to start off by just thanking you guys for showing up today. Thank you for taking the time out of your busy day to show up and learn with this webinar. I want to give the opportunity for Danny Fajardo to introduce themselves. No one's better than yourself to introduce some of the amazing accomplishments, your experience, and we've already worked closely at different webinars, so it's really, really great to see you here once again. I will say that the last webinar we had a lot of positive feedback. A lot of people were asking for your return, so I'm glad you were able to make it back. So Danny Fajardo, the floor is yours, and if you need me, I'll be in the background.
Thank you, Christian. I'm so excited
Thank you.
to be here and to get this started. Let me tell a little bit about myself. So I'm Danny Fajardo, and I'm an executive leadership and high performance coach. I'm also a business growth consultant, and my goal is to help companies get to the next level. And I focus on people, strategy, processes, and systems. So without further ado, let me share my screen about this very exciting topic that we're going to be talking today. It's weird. Okay, so it's going to be a flat out screen share. So because I don't see it in my window, so just let me do this here. And can you guys see my screen yet or not? No.
Not yet, but
we could for a sec.
Yeah.
Okay, there's something weird. Just give me a second. For some reason, it's not popping up. All right, I think we're in business. Okay, can you see the presentation? Well,
yes.
Wonderful. So
Yes,
welcome
sir.
today. I'm very happy to be here with you guys again. Today, we're going to be talking about how to go from a super operator and become a strategic CEO. And this all involves how to stop being the ceiling of your own business and build your company so that it grows and it stops depending on you. To get in the right train of thought, please share in the chat how you feel today. Do you feel like a super operator? Are you already strategic CEO, or do you just not know? All right, type it in the chat, please. All right, Derek. All right, Derek, we're going to find out where you're at. Christian, we're going to find out. All right, anybody else want to share how you're doing today? Yesenia, okay, we're going to find out too. All right, wonderful. Okay. All right, so let me again get back to my screen thing here. It's weird, but I have like 3 screens popping up at the same time. Okay. So let me start by giving you an example so we can get an idea of how this is going to work. Eva is a client of mine. And before she started working on the method that I'm going to show you today, she had 12-hour work days. Even though she had 10 employees, everything still depended on her. And what she found out through the methodology was that she could get rid of this super operator activities and become a more strategic person. So she stopped being on top of everything every single day. And what that changed to was that her team started performing better. And now she dedicates more of her time to decisions that are actually moving her company forward. Here's another example about Luis. Luis owns a construction company that has 15 people. And he was trapped on operational detail. He was pushing out every project personally. And through this method, he restructured his company and his role and gave his team clarity about their responsibilities and what he expected from them. And today, his company is delivering much better results without him being trapped on being the main performer of the company. So how this works is that there are 3 pillars that we need to install from going from a super operator to a strategic CEO. The first one has to do with regaining control of yourself, of your time, of your mindset, of your productivity, of the way you do things. And then we're going to talk about how does your team factor into this. So we need to activate your team. This is the second pillar. And finally, we're going to create a system that enables this to last throughout time, through changes, through people leaving the company. And this is what we're going to see today. And let me tell you something, this, to give you a little bit more context, right? This is for those people, for those companies that already have 10 people or more employed. Because at the end of the day, what we're creating is a system that does depend on people. You also have to have a stable operation, right? You're not in the prior phases of the business where you have other priorities that require you to be a super operator. So for example, sales are not a problem anymore. And there you have stable revenue. You might want to grow, but you have oxygen to breathe. You have stability. And then you have to have the desire to grow, to keep on moving on to the next step of your business, not just survive, right? You're already beyond that. And this is not for you, on the other hand, if you're a solopreneur and don't have a team, or you have a very small team, right? That they all report up to you. If you're still building on this phase, that is your priority right now. It is not getting up to the next level. It's actually stabilizing the business. The other thing is getting to stable revenue, like I mentioned. So in this, if you're still trying to figure out what your product is and how it fits into the market and how to get that stable cash flow, this probably is not for you. And it's not for you, not because you can't do it. It's not for you because there are other priorities that you need to take care of. But before I can show you how to become a strategic CEO and how you can grow your business, let me tell you about the process that I went through so that you can understand it pretty well, how I got to this method that I'm about to show you. So I tried just about everything that's out there in the market. I've tried doing comprehensive growth programs and courses, and everything sounded great. I mean, I wanted to grow, right? So I wasn't taking as much as I could, taking every opportunity that was out there. And these courses talk about strategy, expansion, sales, structure, leadership, a whole bunch of different things. And they had a lot of support. They were very well structured. I mean, there are great courses out there. There's quality design, quality material out there. And the programs were mostly good. But there was an issue. And the issue was that they opened too many fronts for me at the same time. Remember, I'm working as a super operator. I'm trying to get my business to a place that I want to get it to. And I'm used to work this way. I'm used to getting involved in everything that goes in my business. So giving me more things at this point just created more work for me. And guess what happened? I could not intake any more things because I was already working on everything I had that my plate was already full, and now I had to take in more things and do many more activities that were foreign to me that I had to install in my business to make it work. So the problem was that instead of creating real transformation, they overloaded me. And of course, I'm the super operator, right? So implementation of this new information was partial or did not happen at all. But I did not stop there. I also tried more focused approaches. So I took personal leadership courses, sales strategy courses, operational strategy courses, books, podcasts, seminars, coaches, anything that you can think of. And the result was some worked, but what I found out is that they fixed one thing and then something else broke. They were not solving the root of the problem. And no matter which area I improved, there was an underlying problem that kept resurfacing. So for example, I improved sales, and then operations got strained. They could not keep up with the new volume. I pushed operations, and then a ton of execution errors appeared that I had to take care of. So I fixed execution, and I had capacity issues. Did not have enough people or not enough structure to take care of them. And then I addressed capacity, and then I have problems with follow-up. So this kept ongoing, right? Whatever I tried, there seemed to be something missing. And then I understood that in small and medium-sized businesses, CEOs cannot achieve their desired growth by focusing on initiatives that try to do too many things at once, or even by improving isolated parts of the company. It required a strong foundation to do these things. And a business will grow when its core is strong. And then it can drive sustained growth for every other part of the business that you choose. So then the programs will work. Then the courses will work because you have the core. And guess what the core is? The CEO. And it's a CEO that focuses on strategy and that is supported by the team that drives that growth. When I found this out is when I created a business growth system based on the CEO and his or her team at the core. And I also make sure that this system was implemented immediately. And then again, here are the 3 pillars of this system. Regain control of the CEO, activate your team, and install a scaling system. So let's talk first about how do you regain control as the CEO. What do most business owners want when they want to scale? Well, the first thing they try to do is getting more involved, right? And they believe that just by being there, things are going to happen. Because of course, they want their businesses to go well. So the underlying desire here is for the business to go well. This is a problem though, because if the CEO is still deciding what is key, what is urgent, fixing everything, unblocking problems, they really have no mental space or real time to lead the business. Strategy is basically gone. And the result is that this creates more dependency on the team, right? Since the CEO has all the control, the team goes to the CEO for just about everything. All the problems, all the approvals, everything has to go through the CEO. So you get a lot more busy without really getting bigger. And now this dependency also causes another problem. The team stops developing their own judgment. They look at the CEO for just about everything. And then every sensitive little thing, escalates to the CEO. And of course, because you're a super operator, you focus on these things. You know how to fix them, but they shouldn't get to you at this. In the first thing is that they shouldn't get to you in the first place. So everything ends up back on you. And the consequence here is that you have companies that are good at selling, operating, and even can grow a little bit. But when you talk about scaling and real growth, getting to the next level, that just won't happen. Because you have the CEO as the lid of this potential growth. Okay, so how do you regain control as a CEO? The company serves your leadership, not the other way around, right? You stop being the center of everything. And to do this, you have to go through a process of introspection and recreation. First, you understand what your current state, where are you at? Are you really a super operator? Are you really strategic? Are you driving growth? Are you really spending time doing everything, stuff that you shouldn't have been doing today? That it was okay to do it when you first started. But now you're a CEO. You have to drive your company forward. Have you understood that? Are you really focusing on strategy? The next step is to define your operating rules. Where's your mindset? Where are you at? Are you really focused on driving growth? Are you prioritizing the things that really matter? Not answering phone calls that come at random or typing emails or even going into Canva and working on a new design if that's not your job. You focus then on productivity as well. How are you more productive with these things that are priorities? And then on leadership. Are you coaching your team? Are you helping them grow? Are you enabling them to help your company grow? Are you setting standards for them to how to communicate? Do you have good meetings and ongoing meetings where you just don't talk randomly, but you actually look at things that matter? You monitor your company's development and the things that you have to focus on. And then the next step is that you install new principles. Once you understand where you're at, where you want to get to, what you need to do, then you install these new principles. And then something that is key, but it sounds simple, is that you protect your time. The benefits of all this is that you stop being dragged around. You exit this firefighting mode in which you're trying to solve everything and everything is urgent. Everything is, let's call it important and urgent. And then you're also working on giving your business direction. See, this is key because the problem is that if someone else is doing it, your competition, and you're not doing it, then they're going to come out on top most probably. Because strategy is what gets a company from one level to the next. It is not the CEO calling out everything. That's just a recipe for chaos and burnout. And if here you're thinking of something like this, so in my business, I do have to get involved in everything. And maybe you're thinking this because you don't trust your team yet, or you don't have a system, or this is what you used to do, right? You're used to working as a super operator, and you might be a very good super operator. But when you look at your priorities, strategy is probably left towards the end. You're not having those key conversations. You're not doing those key agreements or looking for that key next big customer that you have to hit in order to grow, right? That's what those are the things that tend to be left behind. And at this point, there's a natural question that emerges. Do you have to be alone on this, or how do you get support? And the support is your team. So how do you get your team to support you on your journey to become strategic? and enable the company to grow. So now let's talk about the second pillar, because here's where you activate your team. Here's a cold truth, and it's sometimes felt like a drop of cold, like a bucket, not a drop, a bucket of cold water on you. Just because you delegate some things, it doesn't mean that your team is supporting you. And here's what most business owners do, right? Let's say that you went through the first pillar and you are successful on analyzing yourself, making decisions, getting into a right mindset, getting productivity, being a better leader, all this stuff, right? But then the team fails. What happens? Super operator shows back up. You go out there and fix the problem because you're really good at that. The problem here is it's a matter of misalignment, right? The team is not aligned with the CEO on what the CEO is really trying to accomplish. There's no performance evaluation on how your team is doing. There's no real individual accountability, right? Everything that happens that doesn't go well pulls the CEO back in. And even if the work gets assigned, execution is still weak. And the final result, maybe that you're expecting, is the CEO, as a CEO, you have tried to become more strategic, tried to delegate, tried to gain more time, try to focus on the things that matter to you and for your business. But your business just does not release you, does not give you that opportunity. And this is where you see a lack of structure, accountability, and operating clarity as the main factors that keep your team from supporting you well. All right. So this is what we help you do through this method. We get your team to perform without you so you can supervise and constantly unblock them. So you can stop yourself from doing that, right? They become autonomous. And we also help you to gain the confidence on their level of execution. This is key because if you don't trust them, there's no way that you're going to let go. I mean, your company that you built so far is your baby, and you won't let your baby go. You need to keep it growing. You need to nurture it. You need to take care of it. And you feel that responsibility to do so. So if you don't trust your team because your team has not delivered, then the problem is that you will go back into being a super operator. And let me tell you how we do this. We define with the CEO the priorities of the team. And then we proceed to align the team to the CEO by creating operating structure, clear responsibilities, governance, interactions, and several other things that we work with the team on. And then we install performance systems in clear governance so that everybody's aligned and this works like a well-oiled machine. The benefits of doing this are huge, right? The CEO can finally start focusing on being strategic. You have a team that owns results. You trust the team, and the team drives itself. You don't have to be driving them. You don't have to be following everybody around so they do their job and do it well. They know what well looks like. And you have installed these performance systems that help the team get there. And then, of course, the CEO, by being more strategic, can keep empowering growth, can really focus on the company, what pushes it forward. One very big objection that I see here is that people think that the team is not ready for it. They're not ready to be let go. They're not ready to be empowered. The question is, have you tried this already? And have you tried it the right way? And here's some common things that always are missing. People don't know what matters. There are no clear priorities, and the team doesn't know what to focus on. They're guessing. Team doesn't know how they're being measured. They don't know what to expect. They have random conversations and they may think that they're doing well, but there's nothing that is clear to them. There's nothing that has been structured. They're not sure about what their responsibility is. They're not sure who owns what. They keep going to the CEO for approvals and just about everything, and things that maybe the CEO does not have to approve anymore. And they don't know how far they can decide. They don't know what empowerment may look like. Because in certain situations, it's okay to ask the CEO. In certain situations, it's okay to act alone, but it hasn't been determined yet in a formal way. So they're still guessing through all this. So now that we talked about the two main pillars, right? The CEO and then the team, there's still one very big risk. And it's something that I see a lot of people falling into, right? And it tends to happen a lot, and no matter what you do. You install a new process, you install a new system, you install a new way of doing things, a great method. Everything seems to be going really well. And then something goes wrong and it relapses. And the relapse in this case is the CEO being back in the center of everything, right? Putting that bottleneck back up. And this is what we address in the third pillar. We install a scaling system. The scaling system does not mean more meetings, more reports, or more dashboards. And this is what tends to happen, right? When things finally start getting more organized, most business owners believe that they don't have to do anything to sustain improvement, right? I mean, you're giving a solution, or you find a solution, you implement it, and that's it, you're done, right? The solution should take care of itself. Now, you know that doesn't happen like that all the time. You have to follow up on the solution to make sure it's working well. And the other thing is that most business owners think that the way to sustain improvement is by adding more meetings, more reports, more dashboard, more metrics, more work for everybody. Now, both of these actions that most business owners tend to take to make sure that what they have implemented actually works have a big problem. And it's that they are not giving real information. And without real information, it leads nowhere. On the other hand, you might have too much information because you went out there and tried to make it work by doing all these new things that you haven't done before, and probably hitting up someone with all these new reports. But you're not really focusing all these new reporting metrics and dashboards into making sure that your new system is working well. So you end up operating blindly or operating with more bureaucracy. And this, again, is not sustainable because you're not focusing on what really matters to make the method work. In this case, the method of installing a CEO who's strategic and then a team that supports the CEO. And the end result is that many businesses relapse. And then it feels like nothing changed, like you wasted your money, your time and energy. CEOs don't have clear lines of sight. The reports that you're receiving from your teams are just fulfilling a checkbox, and methods start failing. The consequences of all this are that reactive operations, the super operator and the super operator team, returns. There are more manual follow-ups that you do that are off the structure that you have created. And then, of course, the CEO relapses back to being in the middle of everything and becoming the bottleneck again. Something you have to understand here is that the relapse doesn't mean that it's a failure of effort. It doesn't mean that you're not trying. It means that the system was not designed well in the first place. But there's hope, right? And this is how we maintain order and progress through a very simple system. Here's what we do here. We install a system that is simple and that can help you monitor what's going on and help you keep the governance that you have created. We do this by creating metrics, but metrics that truly matter. And by establishing a fixed rhythm of review and decision making that goes along with the decisions that you made in the prior two pillars, the ones that you made for yourself as CEO and how you're going to act and interact with your team, as well as lead them, and then how your team is going to act, interact with their teams, lead them, and support you on this journey. Again, the benefits are immediately visible. You sustain progress without willpower. I mean, you don't no longer feel that you're trying, and no results are coming. And by the way, your team may also feel this way too, right? They feel that they're trying, and then they have no support. So this stops happening because now you have a system that makes it work. You have more stability and peace of mind. You're not living with the fear that anything that goes wrong is going to send you back to where you started from, to chaos. And remember, now you're trying to grow. And you're trying all these other methods to enable the company to grow. Fact is that by strengthening the CEO and the support team, you're attacking the core, the base. And here's where order becomes permanent. It does not become a temporary thing that fails when the most slight, small thing goes wrong. Now you have something that you can take and push through time. One key thing that tends to happen here is that people tend to think that this is too corporate, right? If you have not had dashboards before, or if you have had some that haven't worked, you might think, well, there's a lot of work on dashboards. There's a lot of work on installing systems and all that stuff. The fact is that the right system is not bureaucracy. It's how we keep up with the company. And of course, if your company is mature enough, you will be able to do this. We're not making things more sophisticated. We're simplifying the way we work by setting clear standards and a clear structure. It is not more complexity. It is less noise, less problems, and more discipline. And this is how you get from being a super operator to becoming a strategic CEO. A series of 3 pillars. You regain control as a CEO. You regain control of your time so you can focus on what really matters by working on yourself, regaining that mindset, improving your productivity, focusing, prioritizing, setting clear rules for your team and how to interact with you. Then you move on to activate your team. This means that they're actually becoming your support, your structure. They're going to drive forward growth. It's not going to be you alone. Your team is going to walk with you. You have their full support, and you're creating the environment for this to happen seamlessly. And finally, you're installing a system to make this work throughout time. If you don't install the system, the potential of your actions as a CEO and the potentials of the actions that you're taking with your team may fail. And think about it. If you have a team of 5 people who report up to you and 2 of them leave and then you hire 2 new people and they're not trained on this system, the system is going to fail. And that's what tends to happen a lot. So the 3 pillars make sure that you go from an operator to a strategic CEO that can enable growth for your company. If you're interested, I do have a program where I take people through this journey. I focus on the core, on making you a strategic CEO and enabling you to grow your business with the support of your team and with the system. So if you're interested, here's my information. Danny F at biusolutions.com, or you can give me a call or send me a text or whatever you want through to my phone number here.
Thank you so much for that, Danny. And while you have that up on the screen, I want to give some more time if you can just leave that up there for a couple minutes, just in case anybody wants to fill out the form,
Yes.
reach out to you directly. But I wanted to ask the questions as you had that on the screen. How much do you, based on what you've researched and maybe even some of the experiences that you've had, what are some of the day-to-day responsibilities that typically carry over with the implementation of something like a CRM software or even systems to their platform? Is it, 20% more efficiency, 30%, 40? What do you estimate?
So do you mean like when you're trying to make the change, right?
Yes.
Yes. So I would say that the key change is the role of the CEO, right? That's where everything starts. And of course, one of the requirements that I recommended here, well, it's not a it's a recommendation, but it's also a requirement, is that this process is not for everybody. If you're in a very early stage and you have to do everything because you don't have a team, and you're building that team, you're stabilizing revenue, right? That's what you have to focus on. But the fact is that when you're enabled to actually focus on the core, then you can start focusing on other things to have, to push growth forth. So if you're focusing on, okay, let's install a new sales system, right? What I've seen, Christian, many times is that people are installing sales systems and then something else goes wrong, something else breaks. Why? Because the sales system worked well, right? The capacity then was not up to par with the sales system. So now I have a problem, right? I cannot cater to those new clients. And thus, you have to think about it this way. If you don't have the core well, right, the CEO and the support team and the system in place to enable any kind of growth, most things tend to fail. And what you find there is that things fail because the foundation hasn't been created, right? The foundation is weak. It relies too much on the CEO. No matter how much you try, it is going to hit you, right? You don't have the capacity or the time to get everything done because you're focusing on everything else. You are focused on monitoring your company and making sure the company is selling, right? So you get to those numbers. So you have to have that maturity and able to make the switch.
Okay, awesome. Well, thanks so much for that. I want to give the moment to, if anybody has any questions before we finalize this webinar that has been really, really resourceful. I wanted to just allow people to, if you want to turn on your mic, if you want to type something in the chat, questions about anything related to either the topic or maybe even things related to your business. I mean, we will give here about a minute or so if anybody wants to jump in. And any questions? No question is a bad question. Any question you may have or any comment about today's presentation.
I have a question. All right, so most of you said the ones of you who shared where you're at the beginning of the webinar, you said that you don't know. How do you feel like today?
Yeah, if you could type it in the chat, does this help you feel a little bit more confident about specific topics? And while you guys are filling that in the chat, I do want to remind you that we have a few webinars that are also coming up. So here closer to the end, I'm going to share a few of the dates, a few of the topics, so you can write them down, and we can definitely see you in that webinar. So let's go ahead and check the chat here if anybody has dropped anything yet. Okay, not yet. So let me go ahead and share a few upcoming dates while we while we drop something in the chat. So the next upcoming webinar is going to be March 24th at 9 a.m. That one's going to be for commercial bonding. So if you're in the contracting space or know of anyone that is in the contracting space, or you yourself simply want to learn about the bonding process, what are the requirements, what it is, that's a good webinar for you. We also have March 31st, we have a cybersecurity 101 webinar. So as you can imagine, in the world, the digital world, we need cybersecurity. So that one is March 31st at 12 p.m. And then the last of the ones that are upcoming here closely would be one on April the 9th, and that is about using AI to track the return on your investment. And that one's also going to happen at 12 p.m. So I wanted to share those with you just so you can have them and write them down. So we'll go ahead and finalize this webinar. Any last remarks, Danny, that you just want to put out there just so people can know? I know that your info is on the screen. I can personally say that working with you directly has been very helpful for the organization. I think what you bring to the table is a lot of a higher level of professionalism that I think is needed within our membership. So thank you so much for that. But I wanted to give you the opportunity if there's anything else that you wanted to add before we close out this webinar.
I appreciate it, Christian, and I'm very happy to be here. Very happy to support you all. One thing that I want to share with you guys is that this is a real thing, right? I mean, we're all struggling to get our businesses up and running and getting up to that next level, which is, I think, is defined differently by whoever you talk to. What is that next level? It depends where you're at, right? But the fact is that the core is always the core. So if you're seeing trends on things that you try to do, right? That you try and install this thing or you try and do another thing, is probably the core. The core needs to be strong for things to work well. And this is something that we kind of forget a lot, right? I mean, some great programs do touch up on the core, especially like accelerators and what is the other one, Christian? Not the incubators, because that's a very
we have Landsat is one of the programs that we have. Audaz is another program that we have.
Yeah, but this goes the extra step, right? This is not addressing everything that you need to do. This is addressing that key component on making your team the core. So if you find that you are struggling to get many things done, it's because the core needs to be strengthened for things to work well.
Awesome. Well, thanks so much, Danny. Thank you so much for everybody that joined today. We are finalizing this webinar. We'll have a recording of this available for everybody to watch. We'll publish that out and we'll send that out. And then we'll also send an assessment just to make sure we kind of get your feedback, recommendations on what we can further explore in the next webinar. So Cindy says, thank you, Danny. Very helpful info. Thank you, Cindy, for the feedback. Thank you, Danny, once again. And we look forward to seeing you all in the next webinar. So thank you, guys. Have a good one.
Thank you, guys. Bye-bye.